I'm Pablo Foley-Elias. Welcome to the programme. Protesters continue to flood the streets of Iran despite authorities ordering lethal force against them. There have been clashes too. Human rights groups are reporting hundreds of deaths. State TV refers to them as victims of events caused by, quote, armed terrorists. A warning now, some of these images are distressing.
Defiance on the streets of Tehran as people continue to march, despite a warning from the country's Attorney General that anyone still protesting would be considered an enemy of God, an offence that's punishable by death. This footage from a hospital in Shiraz, which has been verified by DW's Farsi service, appears to show beds full of injured protesters. One doctor had this call for help.
بچه‌ها ما نمیتونیم زنگ بزنیم. منم نمیتونم. اگه شما میتونید به تلویزیونا زنگ بزنید بگید ما نیاز به جراح داریم. نورسرجن میخوایم، ارتوپد میخوایم، چشم پزشک میخوایم. ما نیاز به جراح داریم الان. نمیتونیم بهشون زنگ بزنیم که پشتن بیان. 20 تا مریض الان اومده، هیچ کدومشون نمیتونیم هیچ کاری بکنیم. زنگ بزنید به شبکه‌ها بهشون بگید پخش کنن، کمک میخوایم، بیمارستانا کمک میخوان.
Iran's chief of police warned the demonstrators that the authorities would have a firm, fast and sharp response to those who don't stop protesting. President Pezeshkian struck a more conciliatory tone when he spoke to the Iranian people on Sunday afternoon.
We ask that in every neighborhood, people come together and not let these people riot. If people have a concern, we will listen to them. It is our duty to listen to them and solve their problems. But our highest duty is not to allow rioters to come and disrupt society.
In his address, he also said the government would seek to resolve economic problems, which initially triggered the unrest, by any means possible.
Let's get some analysis now. And Nazenin Ansari is an Iranian journalist and managing editor of Kayhan London, a weekly Farsi language digital newspaper based in London in the UK. Welcome to DW News. So the Iranian president says he's open to listening to the protesters, but the regime is ramping up its rhetoric by calling them terrorists at the same time. So is this a contradiction or part of some type of strategy?
First of all, thank you very much for having me on your program. Mr. Pezeshkian, the president, has been saying the same thing since he was elected, even if before he was elected to his office. He really does not have any power inside Iran. And indeed, more than 2 weeks ago, when the demonstration started, it coincided when he was at the parliament, in the parliament, and he basically said, people are asking me to raise the wages. Where am I going to bring the money from? So it is definitely a way, a carrot and strategy to put Mr. Pezeshkian there, to say these things for PR purposes. But apart from, other than that, he is basically, I'm sorry to say this, a nobody.
Right, OK. Well, the Iranian supreme leader on Friday accused protesters of trying to please the US president. Is he essentially trying to discredit the protesters by turning their issues into a sort of Iran versus the US type of narrative? Or how do you read it?
Yes, you're absolutely right. He would like to change the entire narrative about the protests and the truth about the protests. It is certainly that the protesters that are on the streets have been going day in, day out. And let's not forget that these protests are nothing new. They started in 2017, this type of protest that is very secular, that does not use any religious or Islamic rhetoric. And they've been going out on their own. And as we have seen, they are paying the price with their lives, but they're still keeping and going on the streets. So what is different with these protests today than when it was in 2017, 2019, 2022, is that it has a leader, and that is Prince Reza Pahlavi. And so this is why all the protests are being galvanized, and various different political currents are coming together hand in hand to keep the momentum going.
Okay, I want to stick with the US on some levels. Now, the Iranian Nobel Peace Prize laureate Shirin Ebadi, along with opposition leaders, has called on President Trump, the US president, of course, to take action as Iran's crackdown on protesters reportedly claims hundreds of lives. Now, you've also added your signature. What actions do you hope President Trump will take?
Thank you. The importance of this letter is twofold. Number one, it shows that the opposition, the voices, are together rather than what the regime would like to narrate outside, that it is a divided opposition. So this, number one. Number two, President Trump has been issuing statements that he will come to the rescue of the protesters. And so this letter says, well, you have said that, and we are seeing people dying on the streets every day. And you yourself in the film, in your footage, showed and report that the number of those being killed is increasing by the day. And this is the strategy that the regime has had. It's a killing machine. It just, that is how it deals with protests. And so it is time for Mr. Trump and the United States and the outside world to really act upon the statements. Europe, France, the United Kingdom,
Right.
They've all been making statements.
When you say to act, what do you mean by that?
For example, one thing that they can do is that the Islamic Republic, the regime inside, has turned off access to the internet. It is dark. And last time in 2019, they did the same thing. And between 1,500 to 6,000 people were killed in a few days, in a matter of days. So number one is that provide free internet, provide access to information. Number two is that whereas those people who are on the streets and who oppose the Islamic Republic don't have access to internet, Mr. Khamenei and his cohorts, and they do have access to internet. You see their voices being broadcast. So certainly cut the internet to them as well. If we cannot have access, he should not have access. And also, this has been something that in other years, different groups have been advocating, and it's that it's also very symbolic. Recall your ambassadors. The Islamic Republic cannot go on being, being the representative of the people. Twitter did a very symbolic act, which was very positive. It changed the flag of the Islamic Republic on Twitter to that of the Sun and Lion flag. And so these are symbolic actions that they can take.
Right, we're going to have to leave it there, but great to get your thoughts today. Nazenin Ansari, Iranian journalist and managing editor of Kayhan London. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Omir Shams is a human rights lawyer. The president says he'll listen, but at the same time, the regime has upped the rhetoric, not just labelling demonstrators vandals, but terrorists. That sounds contradictory. What is the strategy?
Well, it is quite clear from the Iranian regime's record how they deal with protests before, how they, quote unquote, listen to the protests. We have records of Iran committing human crimes against humanity time and time again in every wave of protests since establishment. So this kind of rhetoric is just for the international community and those who are not really familiar with the situation on the ground in Iran to say that the government is willing to listen. But on the other hand, what we see, what we hear from, for example, the National Security Council is a code for massacre. We documented this before in Human Life Freedom Movement when the government started calling protesters as insurgent, as terrorists, as combatants, which is legally speaking absolutely baseless. That was a code for the first surge of death toll in 21st of this, September in 2022. So this is again happening, and I believe this strategy is to killing people inside the country and tell the people outside that they are willing to listen while cutting off the internet and silencing Iranian people.
And the regime isn't really offering any concessions besides that possible act of listening. On what basis does the government believe it can sustain its course?
Well, there is no concession to make for this government. This regime, we should know that it's a totalitarian theocracy. It's an ideological regime that has no place anywhere. It's an outlaw regime, completely detached from the international community, has no respect whatsoever for its domestic or international obligations. There is no concession to make because this government has been killing people every time that they got into the street, tried peacefully to say their demands and to make a real change. Therefore, there is no place for them to go back. They know if they take one step back, there is no returning. And the situation in Iran, we should understand that there is no legitimacy whatsoever for this regime to continue ruling this country. The ruling is now coming only from the barrels of the guns aiming at Iranian people. Therefore, there is no concession to make.
So just one step back would mean no return. How stable would you say then is the system?
Well, we should understand that this system went into the survival stage since 2022 at least, when Women's Life Freedom Movement started. And ever since, we are not dealing with a nation state. We are dealing with a pure apparatus that is only devouring human beings' lives and dignity to produce power. It is only ruling by pure force. There is no legitimacy, there is no even power invested into this government or into this regime. Therefore, there is no plan for this. The only thing that they are trying to do ever since is to just survive and think that the situation might change by itself. We saw it in 12-day war as well. Right after that, the only thing that happened was the Iranian regime tried to take revenge from the Iranian people for what happened during the war, for the loss that it caused to the Iranian people and the country. We believe that what is right now happening in Iran shows that we are not dealing with a sane and rational regime that makes any decision that would be in the interest of the Iranian people.
But Omir, tell me, what are the Iranian people dealing with here on the security level? How unified is the Iranian security apparatus? Do they all stand behind this crackdown?
Well, the Islamic regime came in power through a revolution. So from the day one, they fortified themselves first and foremost against their own people and against any potential revolution or change. That's why they created Islamic Revolutionary Guard, which is a purely ideological, cruel, merciless military organization that has no hesitation to start a massacre, as they have before, time and time again. So that part of the military has been committed enough crime to be on any trial anywhere around the world. But even inside that organization, there are thousands of revolutionary guards that are not supporting this regime, but they are very afraid. We can see the evidence of that when the intelligence organization for the IRGC issued a statement warning those who are defecting, those who are resisting against order to shoot people. That clearly tells us that there are lots of dispute inside the security apparatus of Iranian regime.
Okay, so cracks in the system. Human rights lawyer Omir Shams, thank you very much for your analysis.